Alright guys, for this video demonstration, I want to do a quick walkthrough of how you can install MySQL Server on Windows 11. I did a previous video on how to install MySQL, including the installation of MySQL Server, MySQL Shell, MySQL Workbench, as well as connectors for integrating MySQL with your programming language. Especially I focused on installing Connector J for Java. Now for this video, I want to do a walkthrough of how to install MySQL Community Server Innovation Release on your Microsoft Windows 11 operating system. According to the MySQL documentation, the MySQL release model is divided into two main tracks. The first is the long-term support, and you have the innovation. So it's either the long-term support or the innovation release, right? So it is important to note as well that all the long-term support and innovation releases include bug and security fixes, and they are considered to be production grade quality. Now to install MySQL Server, you just go to your favorite browser and type in MySQL. The first link you should see is the official MySQL website, so you can just click on that and then simply click on downloads. Right, and once you click on downloads, you will scroll down where you will see MySQL Community GPL downloads. Right, so you will then click on your MySQL Community downloads and you will see different options here. So for example, you'll see the community server, you'll see things like your MySQL shell, your MySQL workbench, you'll see the different connectors for your different programming languages. Now for this specific video demonstration, I'm going to just focus on installing the server. Now in another video, I'll show you how to add a connector. I'm going to go with the Connector J for Java, but you can add your different connectors. But for this particular video, I'm going to focus on just installing the server, and later on I'll do another video where you can install the shell, and then I'll do one to install the workbench and another one to install your connector. Now, because I want to install the innovation release version, I'm going to just click on MySQL Community Server. If you want to install like the long-term support, then you can always opt for the MySQL installer for Windows. Important to mention as well that MySQL is available for Microsoft Windows 64-bit operating systems only. Alright, so that is important to note. Alright, so let me just go ahead and click on the MySQL Community Server. And it is showing us that the current version of the innovation release is 9.2.0, and that's the one that we are going to go with, the more recent version. Alright, so once you're on this page, as I said, you're seeing the version selected and the operating system is already selected. If you're, let's say, installing for a different operating system, just simply change that. Alright. Now, in terms of the download options, you're seeing three options here. Now, there are different methods to install MySQL on Microsoft Windows. So you have the MSI, you have the standard binary distribution, which is packaged as a compressed file, all right? And this contains all of the necessary files that you will unpack and install. And also there is the source files to compile MySQL yourself. Now, the recommendation, again based on MySQL documentation, is to use the MSI installation method, and it is said to be the simplest method. I guess, that might add to why they recommend it. So once you download the MSI installer, what you will get is the MySQL Configurator, which you'll now use the configurator to install MySQL community server on your Windows operating system. So we're going to go with the first option here. So let's just click on download. Now you'll be taken to this page where it says login, sign up, or if you look all the way down to the bottom of this page, you will see a link that says, or you see a clickable link that says no thanks, just start my download. So you don't need to sign up, you don't need to log in. Just go ahead and say no, click on no thanks, just start my download. Alright, and our download has been started. So once that is done, we will go through with the installation process. And my installation, well, my download of the MSI installer has been completed. So I'm just going to click on this to start the installation process. All right, so once you click on the MSI file, it will bring up an installation wizard for us. And the first thing it is saying is the setup wizard will install MySQL Server 9.2 on your computer. Click next to continue. So we go ahead and do that. So we click next. All right, and then the end user license agreement comes up. Definitely you can spend some time reading through the user license agreement. Once you're done, click on accept and then click on next. Now you are given different options when installing. So there's the typical, the custom, and the complete. Right? So for us, we will go with the complete setup option, which will install all the necessary requirements that we will need. Right? So I'm going to click on complete and then on install. Right, so the installation process has officially started. Now I am given a screen that is asking me to allow the app to make some changes to my device. So I'm going to click on yes. All right, and once I said yes, it will now go ahead and copy over the new files for the installation. Now, once that is done, it is asking me to run the MySQL configurator. And again, the configurator is what we'll use to install the MySQL server on our Microsoft Windows operating system. So the checkbox, keep it checked, that says run MySQL configurator, and then we will just click on finish. Again, it is asking me if I want to allow this app to make changes to my device, and I'm going to click on yes. Alright, so I'm now seeing a screen that says welcome to the MySQL server configurator, and it has a list of things that it will need to go through to install the MySQL server on my device. So I'm going to go to next. Now it gives a data directory location here if you want to save it or have the information placed somewhere else outside of the default option given here. No problem, you can simply browse and select the location. I'm going to leave the C drive directory that is given here from my installation and just click on next. Alright, now for this part of it, it is listing the type and networking. So you'll see the port, it is telling us that it's using TCP IP, and for the X protocol port, it's using 33060. For the port, it is using 3306, and for MySQL installation, the port that is used by default is 3306. So we're going to leave that and just click on next. Now at accounts and roles, we are asked to enter a password, right? So you need to enter a password, and you're entering a password here for your root user. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and create a password for my root user. Alright, so we are running on localhost. Your password don't necessarily have to be the most secure, but I am going to definitely make mine as secure as possible. Right, so let me go ahead and type that in. Alright, so my password is, in terms of strength, medium. So I type the root password and then retype the password, and now we can continue with our installation process. Now, something else that you can do is you can go ahead and add an additional user. So there's the root user, and you can also add an additional user, or add any number of users you want to add. You won't do that though, but if you want to, you just simply click on the add user button right here, option right here. You will leave the host as the default given. You give your user a name, and you will set a password for them, as well as setting the role for your additional user. But for now, we'll just stick to installing with the root user only. All right. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and click on next. Alright, so after clicking on next, you will see the Windows Service section, and basically once you set up this section, basically you can state whether or not you want the server to start when your system starts up. Now, typically for me, usually for me, I would uncheck this, which means that I will have to manually start the MySQL server each time I want to use it. Now, for you, if you want, you can keep this check, and it means that the MySQL server will start each time your system starts up. Right? But I am going to uncheck this. You can leave it check if that's your preference, and then just click on next. All right, now we are at the server file permission section, and for this you can say yes, grant full access to the user running the Windows service. You can say yes, but let me review, or you can say no. Well, you're installing, so I would say, I'll go with yes, grant full access, and then just click on next. Now you are taken to the other section where you can download some sample databases. So you have two sample databases, right? And the purpose of this is, when you install your MySQL server, you'll have the command line option where you can pretty much use that to create. You'll have your MySQL command line where you can create databases, create tables, and so forth, or manipulate any database that is already there. So just for practice purposes and just to have some sample data, I usually go ahead and install the sample databases as well. So just check that option, check those options, and click on next. Now for this part of it, each aspect will be installed individually. So once we click on execute, we'll have to wait on all of these options to basically be checked off, right? So once these are done being checked off, then we can proceed to the next section or the next phase, which is basically the configuration being completed, and you can now utilize your MySQL server, right? All right, so all configuration operations has been completed, and it says configuration for MySQL server 9.2.0 was successful. Click next to continue. So that's what we will do. So just click on next to continue, and basically our configuration is completed or was completed successfully. So you can just click on finish, right? And you can now go ahead and check to see if indeed you are seeing your installation. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my start option, Windows Start, and I'm going to go to all to see all the installed applications. I'm just going to type MySQL, and I'm seeing the command line here. All right, so it means that it has been installed completely. So I'm just going to bring up the command line client. And when you bring up the command line client, you're asked to enter the password that you would have entered when you were doing your installation. So I'm just going to see if I am indeed connected by typing in my password. Right, so once you type the password and press enter, you see where it comes up saying MySQL. So you can type your MySQL commands. If you want any help option, or if you want to see the help option or options, you can type /h, press enter, and it gives you all the helpful commands that you can type if you want to do simple things, like to switch to another character set, it's /c. If you want to, for example, connect or reconnect to a server, then you can type /r and so forth. All right, so this is telling me that my installation was successful. Now you can indeed use the command line client. From time to time though, I like to use a graphical user interface, or a GUI, and that GUI that I use with my MySQL server is MySQL Workbench. So I'm going to also install MySQL Workbench, but for now I'm going to pretty much end this video here because the focus was on installing MySQL, especially the innovation version, and the current version for innovation is 9.2. Alright, so in another video I'll go ahead and install MySQL Workbench, and then I'll do a separate video just so I can keep the video short. I'll do another video where I install a connector for persons who would want to connect their MySQL application to their program code. So if you are creating an application using, let's say, Java for an example, then I'll show you how to install the connector to connect your Java application to your database. And I'll also go ahead and install the MySQL shell. The MySQL shell is pretty similar to the command line client, but for some reason I like the MySQL shell as well. Alright, so that is it for this particular video demonstration.